Oh, I think I found the one. Oh yeah, that's it. Check this out. That's nice. That's nice. And that's really nice.
Wake up, nigga. We gotta get this money.
All right, let's hop in the beater and go pick up the heater. All right, so we're headed to the freaking middle of nowhere to pick up a 2016 YZ250F, a really clean looking bike. These bikes are EFI, they're the backwards engine Yamahas, and they're still kickstart. But these bikes are great, really good suspension on these things, good motors. And this guy said it has no compression, but still kicks over smooth. But I know when somebody's willing to meet me halfway and come down that much on price without much of a fight, there's more to the story than what he's leading on. So, but I'm ready for whatever. I'm excited to pick it up, get back to the shop, and get started. You guys want to come talk about this bike? I'll do it myself. We're back with the Yamaha. First of all, beautiful machine. Great looking bike. Couldn't be happier with the parts that are on it and how it looks. FMF 4.1, A60 rims, solid chain sprockets, GYTR ported head, the SP built Triple S suspension that has factory connection springs front and back, good pillow topper grips, breakaway levers, has all the Star Racing Yamaha black plastics. Kind of looks like Hayden Deegan's current model bike. It's a great looking machine. However, like you said in the ad, kicks over smoothly, but just doesn't have compression. Well, I get there and it doesn't kick over smoothly. So I'm like, what's up with this? You know, it feels like the valves are hitting the piston. It clunks and then locks up. He's like, oh yeah, well I put new valves in it and then it still didn't have compression, so I just slapped it back together. You'll have to time it up. So I'm like, well, that's not a big deal, but I don't know if you're lying to me or not. I'm just taking your word for it that it's not grenaded inside of there and didn't drop a valve. He's like, oh, no. But I told him, look, the price has got to come down a little more. Furthest he'd come down $1,000, but for what it is, I'm happy with that. $1,000 for this machine, even if the engine is a turd, I can deal with it. But I'm really curious if he lied to me or not. So need to get this thing in the shop, tear this head off and see what's going on. He said that he put kilowatt valves in it, which are stainless, and I said, did you put the springs to match it? And he said, what? No. So best case scenario, probably need to clean up the valve seats, new piston and rings, cylinder, and get springs to match these kilowatts. Worst case scenario, everything from the head down is destroyed. So let's go find out. See you in the shop. All right, she's in the shop. Got my tools ready, I've got my mind right, and my bloodstream is caffeinated, so let's tear into it. I got some of the top layer peeled back here, and you can see if you're not used to these Yamahas, they're a little different, a lot different. Airbox is up here instead of back here. The head is turned 180 degrees, exhaust comes out of the back of the head, and air is drawn in from the front. I do like it, it's a little more accessible. It kind of makes more logical sense. Air should come to the front, blow straight at the back instead of getting sucked in the back, blowing out the front, then wrapped around, coming back out the back again. So it makes sense to me. This at least has an air filter on it, albeit a dirty one. Come across a lot of bikes that don't even have an air filter, so that's a good first step, but still yet to see what kind of terrors, if any, lie beneath. Let's keep going. Okay, so we're beyond the valve cover now. So far, I don't see any broken buckets or any major damage. See the cam caps are a little scuffed, but one thing I did notice, the cam chain tensioner, can't see it, but it's installed, but the cam chain has no tension. So I'm thinking he never released the tensioner. So maybe once he got it back together, he tried to kick it over, it locked up because it jumped time because of this, and he gave up on it. I'm hoping that, or he got it to run, it jumped time, and one of the valves are bent, broken, busted, etc. But you can see when I try to turn it over here, it does that, which that to me sounds like the chain skipping a tooth off the cranks. There's no tension, so I'm hoping that's all it is. This is kind of like gambling. This is why these bikes are so addictive. You get to this point and you think, did I win? Did I lose? I don't know. Then the dopamine builds, the suspense builds, and it keeps you hooked.
Stop it. Get some help.
So I'm on the brink of pulling that lever and seeing if I got all lucky clovers, or I don't actually gamble, so I don't know what you're supposed to get. But anyway, let's get the head off and see what's going on. All right, got the cams out, and good news. All of the buckets, I can press down on them and they return properly. It feels smooth, so I don't think we dropped any valves. And I actually grabbed the cam chain and turned it over, but the spark plug is still installed. And he was right, there is no compression. There should be a ton of compression with the cams out, and the spark plug in should barely be able to turn it over. But it turns over easily. So let's get the head off and see just how bad this cylinder is. I'm assuming it's pretty roached, but I am more than okay with that. So let's take a gander. All right, so we're gonna do a couple of small hiccups. Got everything disconnected and off except for this bolt, which I'm gonna have to cut off somehow. It's really stripped out. And then one of the bolts is hanging onto the head here. So I think I can get this out with that bracket still on. Let's see what the damage is. Okay, got the head removed minus some sensors here. It looks like he did put new valves in it, so that's good. New head gasket, that's good. I'm gonna disconnect this sensor, and let's look at the cylinder wall. Okay, so it looks like, let me turn my light on. Okay, so it looks like a new piston, and there's just dirt in the cylinder. Maybe dirt is causing the ring. I don't know what's going on here. It looks very dirty inside the cylinder for how new the piston looks. I don't know if it's an actual new piston or if someone got all the carbon off the top somehow and put it back. Let's look at the skirt of this piston and look at the cylinder wall up close. We'll take this off and go from there. I will say also, it looks like from the side, the crosshatch looks like someone just got a ball hone, drank 5 packs of Red Bull and went to town on this thing. So it could be that the bore is now oversized for the piston. So we'll measure that too. I do see some lines in here, which is not good, but it shouldn't cause it to have zero compression like it does. So I can't actually feel that line with my nail. But it looks like there is dirt in here. Really weird. Okay, so we're looking at the cylinder just as it came off. You can see where there was dirt in the rings getting pushed around, scratching up the Nicosil. And like I said, somebody honed this like they would hone an old lawnmower engine that was sleeved. It looks horrible, and I think they oversized the bore. So this cylinder is going to be no good. Okay, ready for the weird part? The piston is actually new, and feeling around it, the rings are not expanded. The rings are stuck. I think there's dirt in the rings. The rod, the good news is the rod is nice and tight. No damage on the rod. It feels great. So that's good. And I don't see any dirt or anything bad down in the bottom end. Everything looks super fresh. Just, it's like somebody slapped together a new top end with some dirt sprinkled in it. You can see all the particles here, and the rings are not expanding. They're stuck in their grooves. So I'm thinking new rings, new cylinder, some new gaskets, and the kilowatt springs, and we're ready to rock and roll. So it's kind of funny because on the way home, I started thinking, you know, I bet everything in this engine is a disaster after I kicked it over and it felt locked up. But turns out he was being truthful. It actually even has a new piston that he didn't tell me about. So, okay, so something I need to figure out. I don't know if this popped out as I was working on it, but the tensioner is actually released all the way. And if it was in that state when it was all together, this may be a 450 chain. I don't know. I don't know when that happened. And I'd have to put it all back together to know for sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and order a new chain anyway. Because I don't know where the slack came from. Both of the guides were in when I took it apart. Everything's where it should have been. I assume this was retracted, but looking at it, out, but maybe it popped out after the fact. I don't know. Anyway, and then next up, I just need to pull the valves out of this head, check the seats, make sure everything looks good, the guides look good, etc., and probably surface this gasket mating surface. All right, so at this point, there's just a few things left to do. I need to find out what this piston size is, make sure it's not overbore, because I'm gonna run this piston. I'm gonna get a new cylinder for that. I'm going to pull a couple of the valves out, make sure they are indeed stainless so I can get the appropriate springs to match. And then I'm going to, while the valves are still in, I'm gonna pour water in the intake and exhaust ports to make sure that the valve seats are still good and they're sealing off and they don't have any leakage. After that, I'm going to take off this right side cover and check to make sure all the O-rings are in their proper placement, because if you are missing any of the O-rings on the inside of this case, you're going to lose all your oil pressure. And I did see, it looked like a new gasket here, so I want to make sure whoever did that, the same person that got dirt on the piston, put everything back where it's supposed to be. So I'll check that, check the oil filter here, and I will check the stator side as well. I'll pull this cover and make sure everything looks good inside the stator housing. I noticed also where is it? The female side of the fuel injection is broken off. This is going to be a hard one to find. I'm going to have to do some digging on the internet to find that one, but I'll find it. And then after that, get everything ordered up. Nothing left to do but wait. So let's go check out our cylinder head over here. Okay, on the piston there are actually markings here. So it says 7700, so that's 77 millimeters, and that's the stock bore size. So just need to take the piston out, clean it up, and then order a stock cylinder. We're good there. All right, I got water on the intake here, and there is leakage. So these seats need to be touched up. I anticipated that for sure. Onto the exhaust side. Yeah, a little bit of leakage. So all 4 seats need touched up. Check out our retainers here. Very dirty in here. Everything in this motor is just dirty. So that's not good. All right, so we'll pull these buckets and check out the retainers. Make sure all the keepers are in place. Doesn't matter, they're gonna come out anyway, but everything just looks so dirty. It's like oil mixed with dirt. And it needs to be surgical type of clean, but look, I mean, just like the piston. Why was the piston dirty? Why is this dirty? I don't get it. Did he build this in a dust storm? What is going on here? We'll take all these out and we'll pull a couple of valves. And I can tell literally just by holding it by the weight. Believe it or not, the steel valves, a lot of the time they're not magnetic. The grade of stainless they use isn't magnetic, so it's hard to tell even with a magnet. So I'll just have to feel it. I can tell by just holding it in my hand if it's titanium or not. They're drastically different in weight. All right, so all of the buckets look good, shims look good. I don't know if the shims are correct. I need to measure that later. But the retainers all look good. I don't recall this dome shaped on the retainers for this year model. Maybe it had it. Maybe it's just consistent with the GYTR heads only. But I'll figure that out later. For now, I'm gonna pull one intake. I may pull them all and just see if they are indeed stainless. All right, getting ready to pull one of the intakes here. I actually don't use a valve spring compressor. I use a magnet, and I use socket, and I use my body weight. And if you need a valve spring compressor to get this out, then you're just
being a girly man.
And just like that, it's out. And I always like to check to see that the the valve seal is new and that the base plates are installed, because if either one of those things are bad, then it can cause big problems. This is broken. Is that broken? What am I seeing? Yeah, so this lip right here is definitely broken, but it doesn't seem to affect the bucket. If I need to, I'll weld it up and shape it out, but I think it's not going to interfere with anything, and I can probably smooth that out with a Dremel. Yeah, I'll need to look into that further. but the bucket was unscathed, so that's odd. So it is steel. I can tell just by feeling of it that it is certainly steel. And it looks like he partially lapped it in, which you're not supposed to lap titanium valves because they are nitride coated. It's kind of a gray area with the stainless. But it looks like he did lap it, but it still bleeds down a bit. And it's a shame to run heavier stainless valves in these heads. These UITR ported. I mean, look at that flow. That knife edge, really good port. This right side cover off. Stator looks really good. Nothing looks burnt up and shorted out. Flywheel, nice and magnetic. That's good. All the way around. Get this gasket off of here. One thing I do like about Cowies and Yamahas, the gaskets never really seem to stick for the side cases, and they're reusable, whereas on the Hondas they pretty much always peel off. But I don't see any damage in here. A little bit of surface rust, like this was open for a bit, but otherwise not bad. I need to remove the flywheel later on anyway to change the timing chain, but this is nice and silky smooth. No in and out play. I don't see any debris anywhere, so this side checks out. Water pump looks good. No corrosion in the water pump. Not loose. Yeah, perfect shape. Gasket looks perfect. Cool. Let's get this main cover off here. Well, this side was actually a paper gasket, so I can see that it's already destroyed, but it's okay. Put that on the order list. So this side looks good. The main oil feed seal looks good. No marring on this oil gallery here. Probably took this off for nothing, but it's better safe than sorry. This is one of the critical O-rings I was talking about, so that is intact. The end of our crankshaft looks good. The basket has no notching. Yeah, I think this is gonna be, nothing seems to be loose or have any play. Yeah, super smooth. All right, so just need to order parts and then get busy with the rebuild.